Samar, who just called in a second ago. Pronouns he, him, calling in all the way from Pakistan. My goodness. Says, wants to talk about why he believes in God, what I see day to day. Let's figure it out. Samar, you're on the line with Forrest and Seth. How are you doing today?
Thank you for taking my call. So
thank you for calling.
Is, you're welcome. So I'm a Muslim, and I believe in Allah. I would say Allah is God. It's the same thing. I know I've been through so many Pakistani atheist channels who speak in their native language. But your question today is that why we should believe God, right? Is there any reason to believe in God, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, not recently, like a few years ago, I lost my dad. I understand what you guys' point of view is, but okay, besides the theist point of view, sometimes we're all gonna die. We have a fear of death, and one day, as we are taught that we're gonna be in front of God, there will be somebody, if you wanna say it's Allah, God, or Yahweh, whatever it is. But still, and there is a hope to meet our loved ones there. I know that there is an argument that believe or you don't believe. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of that argument. You know how it works. But I kind of feel like it gives me some comfort. It gives me comfort. That doesn't mean it should apply to everybody, but it gives me comfort to think about that. What you wanna how you gonna respond about that?
Oh, let me jump in. Can I?
Please. Yeah.
You have landed upon one of the many, but one of the key reasons that people do lean into supernatural thinking, comfort, right? You want to see those you've lost again. The idea of death and dying and not being a forever or at least an extended being of some kind bothers you. And it gives you comfort to think about the idea that there will be a reunion in the cosmos and it will all be good. This is an understandable thing. Human beings have long self-medicated in a great many ways when it comes to the things that give us pause, the blanks in our knowledge, our fears about each other, about the other, about the future, about life and death. So when I hear you say it makes you feel good, it gives you comfort, that's actually an extremely honest way to approach it. But it's only the first step in the conversation. I think the next question has to be, is there any reason for us to believe that it's true, or does it just make me comfortable?
Since it's making me comfortable, I would say I would believe it. I know when I say I believe it, I cannot prove it. I cannot give you an evidence.
Okay, fine. Well, Samar, let me jump in real fast because I'm going somewhere, and I forgive the intrusion, but I want to make sure we're maintaining momentum. So that if I was a devout Christian and I didn't hold to Islam, I didn't buy the Quran, I felt it was the Christian God and the Bible, I was going to Yahweh's heaven, and that gave me comfort. Would you give me just as much credence? Would you say that my faith was just as valid as the Islamic faith because it comforted me?
Oh, that's I know that's a tough question. But on the other side, I would say yes. You believe in some God. Okay, I don't believe in your religion as being a Christian, but I can understand you believe in a God, and probably it's giving you a comfort. So yeah, you can live with that. I mean, you can hold on to that.
Yeah, but would their faith be as valid as yours? Is my question, right? If that's the measuring stick, it gives me comfort. It fills my heart. It alleviates my pain or fears of pain or separation. It answers my questions. It fills blanks. It works for me. then that faith, Christianity, Hinduism, any other religion, would be just as valid as Islam, right?
To some extent, as I have been taught that if you believe in any deity, you will be judged according to your faith.
Let me ask you one more question. I don't want to stomp on Forrest's time. Let me ask you two key questions, which I believe are the determiners, usually the determiners for one specific faith. Where were you born specifically? Were you born in Pakistan?
Yes.
Okay. What is the primary religion of Pakistan? The most popular?
Islam.
All right, Islam. And what was the religion of your parents?
Islam.
Okay. Do you think that if you were born overseas in my state of Oklahoma, which is a Protestant Christian state, overwhelmingly the people are Protestant Christians, and your mother and father were not Muslims, but were instead Christians, do you think you would still be a Muslim?
Right. Absolutely not. I would be born in a Christian family, so I would be a Christian, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you were born in Mexico, you would more likely be Catholic. If you were born in a part of the world where they practiced Eastern religions, you would be one of those. Do you see how inherited belief and belief systems, do you see how that happens? And that this may then not be about truth. It may not even be just about comfort. It may mean that it's the religion that you were indoctrinated with from the very beginning, but it doesn't mean that it's true, and that maybe all of us who come out of a family and a culture need to do our own thinking, connect the dots, and find out, is there anything there? Would that be fair, Samar?
Yes, but I have a question with that. Suppose I was born in my parents are atheists, and I was born in a family where everybody is atheist. I would be an atheist, so I would be definitely an atheist. Thinking whatever my parents, brainwashed me or told me what to do. So
okay. No, I'm going to jump in.
Reason I should believe
I'm going to jump in.
Right. Sure.
It is possible that you would be an atheist. You would be involved and you'd be raised in a culture where people did not believe in God and did not do religious things. But the difference is that atheism is not a truth claim. Atheism is simply the lack of a belief in God. And I'm convinced more in non-religious homes and cultures, a fostering of education, discovery, curiosity, where we don't tell kids what to think, we teach them how to think. So atheism doesn't have a truth claim with a capital T. It's not a dogma. There's no holy book. There's no hard and fast set of rules. We simply don't believe in God. But every day is more a discovery for people who haven't been spoon-fed a certain belief structure or system. So you will find, I'm convinced, more in non-religious homes, they're teaching kids to go out and be creatures of curiosity. That's different than dogmatic Islam, Christianity, etc., right?
You're right. Can you give me like a 30 second? I want to tell you something. Okay. I totally understand how atheism work, what they think, because I've been in touch with so many like Ghalib Kamal in Pakistan, Harris Sultan, and all that. Probably you're not aware of them. Okay, so let me tell you. So long time ago, I was watching some YouTube video, and I saw an experiment there where they gather like few kids in the room, and they put probably a cake or something, and they tell everybody. They put a like chair in the front, and they tell like somebody's sitting there, and they tell him like if somebody's watching you on this chair, somebody's sitting. So please don't eat cake. So they didn't. So even if if it's okay, suppose there is a God or no, like probably we're on the same boat here that you cannot prove there is no God. And I cannot prove there is God. But it works somehow. What do you want to say about it?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Forrest, did you pick up what he was throwing down? I didn't connect the dots there.
I don't think I understood either.
Oh, okay. Apologize. I can repeat that. So, like a long time ago, I watched the YouTube videos where they did an experiment where they gathered some kids in a room and they put like a cake in the front, and they told everybody, like all the kids, that there's an empty chair there, but
I know what you're talking about. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought it was something completely different. I know exactly what you mean. Yes. So the experiment, I'm going to rephrase it. I'm not just to make sure we're on the same page. There's a name for this experiment. It's called like the princess somebody. I forgot what it was, because they messed it up. They made this fantasy character for the children. They put an empty chair in the room, and they said, Princess whoever is sitting in that chair, she's invisible, but she's watching you. And they would leave the room, and the kids would believe that this magic creature was watching them, and they wouldn't touch the cake. And then they had a control group where they just had the empty chair, and they didn't tell the kids anything about it, and they'd go and eat the cake because they wanted to have cake. And so, that's an experiment demonstrating belief. It demonstrates supernatural belief. It demonstrates, using supernatural belief to impose morality and impose not even morality, just rules on children. And that, to me, that's a good example of what religion is. Religion is a domestication tool for humans. If you tell children there's this magical invisible princess who doesn't want you to eat cake and she's watching you, they won't do it. And if you tell adults there's a lake of fire and brimstone that you'll go to if you have butt sex, they're not going to do it. And so, like, for us now as humans, we're having to struggle with this same kind of magical thinking, despite the fact that there's no reason to believe it. And most people, I think the vast majority of religious people, Samar, believe the way that you do. It's something that gives them comfort, and it's not really worth their time to dig into. My problem is that the religion doesn't just offer just the comfort. It has a lot of shameful baggage as well. And because the religion works the way that it does, it can be used and has historically been used to justify some really, really evil shit. And people go along with the evil shit for the same reason they go along with the good shit, because they don't want the magic princess in the chair to catch them. Meanwhile, if you give somebody secular morality, they're going to do good things and they're going to avoid evil things because they have a good reason to do it that isn't relying on being caught by some monster in the sky. Does that make sense?
Okay, you're right, but I have something to say about it. Okay, suppose there should be a way to control people. With a bunch of people, you have to have some way to control them. Okay, I know in religion there's so many things added, and probably not everything you find in Islam or in Christianity. Probably few things are added later for some good or bad reason. They don't apply today. But at the end of the day, to control people, how does atheism can do it? I know I can teach my kids, or you can teach your kids some, fair stuff. This is how world works. There is no God. I mean, if there is no fear, probably like a group of people won't even understand.
Atheism cannot give you morality, because atheism is just the claim about whether or not you believe a God exists. However, education can give you morality. The more educated you are, and the more you're exposed to different ideas and different people and different cultures and different belief systems, different ways of thinking, you're going to come up with good ways to be a good person, and you're going to start seeing different people as people. The converse of that is that if you have a religious dogmatic way of thinking, you're going to be very ethnocentric by definition. You're going to believe that your way of thinking, your morality, your belief system is not only the only correct one, it is the best way to go about being a human. And that is, by its very nature, going to dehumanize other belief systems and other people, and it's going to make you less of a moral person in the long run. If you are a moral person as a religious person, it is not because of the religious text. The Quran, the Bible, the Book of Mormon, these books are not good books. They don't have moral teachings in them. They do, but they're not anywhere near outweighed by the immoral teachings. And Islam is just as fucked up and horrific as Christianity is in terms of the actual teachings and the stuff that the Holy Book justifies and allows for. It's disgusting. So when somebody is a moral religious person, they are moral in spite of their religion. They're not moral because of their religion. Meanwhile, if someone is moral as an educated person, doesn't matter about atheism. If you derive your morality from your education, you're building it for yourself. You're making morality that matters to you, and you're arguing and discussing that and breezing it out with other people. And
I think also, the most important thing, I think Samar is moral despite his religion. Mm-hmm. Right. I think he's an example of that. You just said that, some of the parts of Islam may not add up and it may not be true. That tells me you've already begun to parse out some of the stuff that's problematic. I'd be curious, by the way, in Pakistan, how that would go over if you were to stand on a street corner and say part of the Quran may not be correct. Right. I'd be curious to see. I don't want to see you unsafe. But how do you think that would go over, Samar, if you were to be honest about your thoughts and say, I'm not sure it all works in Islam? What would they do to you?
Oh, no, definitely.
Okay. But you have in your mind begin to sort of deconstruct and work out, well, does that add up? It may not be correct. It might have been added later. We're not really sure. I'm not sure I accept it 100%. You're doing your own thinking, and you are doing so as a moral creature. And I find that interesting.
Yeah. What I think is the most important thing, Samar, that you said was towards the end there, you were saying, like, if people don't have that fear, like, how can you make sure that everybody is moral? And I think that is another thing that you said that's very honest, is that is where religion gets its power from. It gets its power from fear. And I think that tells a lot about what that morality actually is. If you are concerned about heaven and hell, but you're not really that concerned about like human well-being, about taking care of people, about being accountable for your own actions, if you believe in the Christian morality where all sins go away as soon as you are saved and you get to go to heaven no matter who you are and all these things, like, you're not actually a good person. You're a bad person on a leash. And for offering an atheistic secular morality, I think allows a lot more freedom and a lot more morality in the long run, even if it is going to be harder to get there. Does that make sense?
It does. I do have questions about my religion, but on a side note, I want to ask something. I know probably you were an atheist as you were born, or probably you belong to a religion. But there is always a fear. How did you guys came out of that fear? Because I fear a lot. I mean, I'm going to die one day, and probably there is somebody. It could be Yahweh, God, Allah, or anybody there. I'm going to respond. Yeah. So what I'm going to say, how did you get out of that fear? I don't want to be in hell.
I give it to Seth, and then we'll move on, because I didn't really have that deconstruction process.
I did. Let me tell you, Samar, when I was questioning my faith and I finally decided to listen to the things that didn't add up and the alarm bells that were going off, this was what we call a mind-heart tug of war, because in my brain, I was like, I know that hell theology is bogus. I know it was made to control people. I know there's no reason to believe the stuff that's in the Bible at face value. So the teachings about hell, depart from me, you who are cursed, into a lake of everlasting fire, right? This is the same book that said that donkeys spoke Hebrew, that people lived to be almost 1,000, that there was a guy who survived for 3 days in an underwater prison fish. It's all kind of crazy, wacky stuff. But
Islam, yes.
Yeah. The Quran's got all kinds of wacky stuff in it, right? And so what I had to do is two things, actually three. The first thing I did was I gave myself time, because it took me a year and a half, 2 years after I myself came to the point where I didn't believe in Christianity to get over my fear of hell. That part of me, there's so much scar tissue there. It took me a while to get over my sleepless nights and my fear that what if I get it wrong? I don't want to fry. Secondly, I got into the history of my religion. Where did it come from? Who wrote the books of the Bible? What are the criticisms of that? How many versions of these stories are? What have other people written about hell? And who were they? And how is hell theology used to oppress and harm and control people, right? So once I understood more about the mechanics of the religion, that was easier. And then the third thing I did was I began to find community with other people who had escaped religion, and we shared stories and encouraged each other and said, you know what, I'm going to encourage you that you have value and you would have never deserved hell. And a moral God would never send you to hell. A moral God would have never conceived of hell. And that kind of community helped me to heal. But it was a long process. Give yourself some grace, ask yourself some questions, but let's find out where all these hell theologies came from. And I highly suspect you will discover they are very much man-made, and they were used to control people. Okay?
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I'll think more about it.
Right on.
It's a journey, bro. I mean, life is a
take
journey. You know, just give yourself permission to take that journey honestly, even if it gets uncomfortable. Life's messy, and I hope if you learned something, call us back because we want to know. Okay.